And now we come up to the actual tree that's been hit. And again, it's kind of interesting to look at this evidence on the tree and look how high it is up on the tree. This is the impact area. Now, to give you some perspective, I can maybe stand here next to this tree. You know, I'm 5'10", and just look at where that impact is, you know, above my head. So you kind of wonder, well, boy, this car must have been, you know, really moving very quickly. Its center of gravity was way up in the air and was going very fast. That's why you have this tree impact. Not necessarily. I think what you have to look at and recognize is that this impact evidence is indicative of kind of a side-swiping action. It's not indicative of a direct impact where you see kind of, when you see a side of a vehicle go right into the tree, it embeds all kinds of glass and all kinds of stuff in there. This is just side-swiping motion on a tree. So basically, I think either the front or the rear end of the vehicle has just glanced by this tree and taken the bark off. So now what happens if my hand is the vehicle, where it's normally horizontal, but when it goes into a rollover, it bounces, you know, rear end, front end, rear end, and so on. So the center of gravity of the vehicle is not actually going very high. It's just the front end or the rear end may be going very high. And this is not indicative. The center of gravity of the vehicle may be somewhere down here where my hand is. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that the vehicle is going very fast. And so that's also indicative by, you know, just recognizing that that is not evidence of a severe impact to the tree, and also recognizing that the final rest position there, just beyond the tree, maybe 10 or so meters beyond, is indicating that the vehicle has not gone very far after impact. So now if we go down to the final rest position here, and how do we know it's a final rest position? Because I wasn't here when the vehicle was here. Certainly I did see a brief glimpse of the vehicle in the news on the television, but you know, again, how you recognize a final rest position is just look for where there is a stain, a black stain, dark stain from the oil, and this is where it is, kind of where I have my cone. And the witness who came by and spoke to me indicated that the deceased occupant was maybe 15 or so feet away from the final rest position of the vehicle. You know, yeah, it can be, but you know, those estimates will not be exact. And what you should notice is, if you look at this area closely, there are blotches of blood all in this area, right where I'm walking, from around here. I'm just walking in a circular pattern around this area where there's blood. Okay? All in here. In about a two or so meter radius in here. It's an area of blood. So, yes, it could be from one of the two occupants who is not fatally injured, but I just don't see that normally. And knowing that you know, people in rollovers, ejections, and so on usually have head injuries, and the head injuries, there's a lot of bleeding taking place. So I think that the occupant is in this general area and probably right next to the vehicle, close to the vehicle. That's all I can say. It's probably not no point in arguing whether the witness is right or wrong. He generally gives an idea, but that shouldn't be ingrained in stone. The other thing you try and look at is where occupants may have been thrown or ejected, is by considering that when the occupant gets thrown, then the emergency personnel or police have to come to that person and try and help him. And so if the person is thrown out into a field, let's say, they trample all the grass. So now I'm turning the camera toward the grass, and if you look at all this grass here, you don't see any trampling of the grass. Nothing here. So there's nobody been into this grass area around this tree. There is one little area of trampling of grass further back, closer to where the vehicle first rolled over down in the grass. But again, it's not indicative of what you typically see of emergency personnel dealing with someone who's critically injured. But there you see down there, you can see just a little bit, somebody's gone down in there to probably take a look at something, and further on down in there. But again, it's not indicative of where this occupant may have been lying. You can see the grass down there is trampled. But that's, anyways, you would know that if you look at this enough times that's not the final rest position of the ejected occupant. Just in summary, what can we learn from this, specific collision? In this particular instance, we have a steep downgrade. That is a factor. When you're going down a downgrade, there's a possibility you could lose control. We have a gravel surface. Again, we have a gravel surface that has both bare spots and loose gravel in it. Again, that's another factor that could make someone lose control. We have likely some young drivers, males. One that the fatally injured was 17. And again, the youth and inexperience and being a male is another factor, unfortunately, that leads to a lot of serious fatal injuries. So these are factors that exist in this case which are not unique. They happen. They exist in many of the collisions where there's a loss of control and fatality. And it's something that you have to reach the young kids about. These are factors which are important. These are factors that the young drivers should be aware of. And when they're coming along a gravel road and the road is hilly, they have to be told ahead of time, before a collision takes place. They have to be aware ahead of time that this is a dangerous thing and you need to take extra special caution and attention. That just simply has to be told to young drivers. They can't learn that from experience because by the time it happens, it's too late. So that's really the important thing, I think, from this case. And that's it. Thank you.